Hey guys, what is going on? So today we are going to talk about Marvel, DC, and Invincible, which is a part of Image, but we're not going to talk about Image as a whole, just Invincible because that's their main attraction essentially. We're going to talk about how they all use multiverse in multiple dimensions and who uses it best. So with that being said, let's go ahead and get into it. So let's go with process of elimination. In my personal opinion, if I were to say who uses the multiverse in multiple dimensions the worst, I would probably have to say it's Marvel. And the reason that I think that it's Marvel is because I think that Marvel kind of overindulges in the multiverse, meaning it's a lot harder to understand their way of using it. There's a lot of elements and variables involved, and it's very complex, right? To understand it and to keep up with it. And in a way, too, it's kind of like never ending, right? Like with Marvel, there's so many different possibilities. It's very hard to enjoy it, in my personal opinion. And I think we've been seeing that with a lot of people's reviews in regards to the live action. A lot of people are already kind of tired of the multiverse because with the multiverse, there's just a bunch of nonsense. So I think that Marvel utilizes it the worst, and it's never ending, and it's just too much going on. So that narrows it down to DC and Invincible. Now, I definitely think that DC utilizes the multiverse a lot better than Marvel does. I think that it's a lot easier to understand. It's a lot easier to maintain and keep up with. So with DC, they have described their multiverse as a universe that has multiple Earths. And in regards to DC, I believe they have a total of 52 different Earths. And on these different Earths are different variations of super beings. Now, they're not clones or some type of knockoff of Earth Primes, which would be the original Earth, which includes Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, so on and so forth. They even have their own super beings that aren't even related to them and what their powers are. Some of them are just completely new super beings. However, there are different Earths that do have different variations of the original or prime Earth. For example, on Earth 2, there is another Superman. However, on Earth 2, this Superman is black. And then you got different variations of the other superheroes or super beings. Even a different variation of Batman-esque character. And then a really good prime example, and I think another example that people are a little bit more familiar with, is Earth 3, which Earth 3, they have super beings. However, instead of the super beings being superheroes and trying to help the world, they actually utilize their powers to control the world, and they're referred to as the Crime Syndicate. And within the Crime Syndicate, you have Ultraman, you have Owlman, and you have various other variations of the Justice League. But again, instead of them being good, they're very selfish. They use their powers for their own personal gain. And I like this. I like how DC uses their way of doing the multiverse. It's easier to understand. It's easier to follow. To me, it makes a little bit more sense. They obviously put a cap on it, right? There's only 52 different Earths. You can understand it. It's kind of broken down and explained in a lot more simple way. Now, that brings us to our last example, which is Invincible. So in Invincible, and the reason I definitely want to talk about this too is because Amazon Prime has their own Invincible animated series. And in this part 2 of season 2, it looks like we may get introduced to Invincible's way of dabbling in the multiverse. So with Invincible, you have the character Brainstorm Levy. Brainstorm Levy is probably the only character within the Invincible franchise that can access multiple dimensions and multiple universes. So he uses his power to essentially cause harm to Invincible, right? He wants to hurt him, he wants to psychologically mess him up, and I think ultimately he wants to kill him. But he doesn't want to just do it, he wants to do it in a way where Invincible is suffering and he really feels Brainstorm Levy's revenge, crossing him and ruining his life. so to speak. So Brainstorm Levy gets the bright idea to where he's going to travel to other dimensions, and he's essentially going to recruit alternate evil versions of Invincible to be somewhat of his small army. Because they're Viltrumites, because they're other Invincibles, he doesn't need thousands upon thousands of them. He really only needs a handful of them because they're extremely strong. So that's what he does. And he promises them power and wealth and anything a person could want if they just do this favor for him, which is essentially attack this Earth Prime and destroy it, and then capture the Invincible located on that planet, which is Mark, our original, and kill him. So it's as if Brainstorm Levy wants to kill Mark with extreme irony. I'm going to kill you with you. Essentially, right? Which is it's really crazy when you think about it. So this is where we get the Invincible War. And it looks like the beginning of it is going to start in part 2 of season 2, which is really cool. And it's basically made up of evil variations of Invincible who are really powerful in their universes, in their dimensions. I mean, some of them are even so powerful. There's one variation of Invincible that killed his own father. He killed Nolan, or Omni-Man, which is not an easy task. Omni-Man is extremely strong, way older, way more experienced. So the fact that that Invincible was able to kill Omni-Man, his own father, is really impressive. And then you got other Invincibles that have accomplished or achieved or demonstrated high levels of power in their universes too. So these evil variations of Invincible are extremely strong. And they basically go to Earth Prime and they cause chaos. They really mess people up. I mean, it really makes the people of Earth Prime, the original Earth, turn against the Mark and the Invincible that is essentially theirs, who has chosen a higher path, the right path, the justice path, right? Who tries to protect them as much as he can. But he's young, he's inexperienced, and he's only one person. So that's what we have for Invincible when it comes to multiverse and dimensions. But other than the Invincible War, Mark gets put in a different dimension where in the world that he gets tossed into, the new dimension, only 2 weeks have passed. However, in his original world, about a 5-year time skip has happened. And I'm not going to ruin it anymore. I'm not going to spoil it anymore. But that's it, guys. Other than the Invincible War, as well as the 5-year time skip when he's tossed into a different dimension, eventually everything goes back to, I don't want to say normal, but regular time. Just the one verse, just the one dimension. It's like they dabble in it. They kind of flex their muscles in it, but eventually they bring it back in, bro, and they leave it as it is. And I really appreciate that. Unlike DC and Marvel, especially Marvel. So if I were to say out of the 3 different franchises, who utilizes the multiverse the best, I think that Invincible does it. I think that Robert Kirkman did a really good job with that. And yeah, I think that Invincible is the best at the multiverse. So that's my opinion. I think Invincible does it the best. I think that DC does it second best. And I think Marvel, they overindulged. They overstayed their welcome when it comes to multiverse, and honestly, they needed to reel it in a long time ago. So, I don't know. We'll see what ends up happening with Marvel and the whole multiverse crap, but I'm really excited for Invincible, the animated series. As you guys can see here, I have a lot of the Invincible comics. So, if you guys can't wait on the animated series to do its thing, then I would suggest just getting the Invincible series comics and reading on that, because it's a really good story. And a lot of the art in it is really good, especially by Cory Walker. He does a phenomenal job, and he's actually the lead animator for the animated series for Amazon. He kind of oversees and makes the references for people to follow. I'm hoping that Amazon will eventually do a live action of it. However, I will say this. If they're going to do a live action of it, I definitely think that Amazon needs to improve how they film the flying scenes, because obviously in Invincible, there's a lot of characters that have the ability to fly. Obviously the Viltrumites, Robot, various other characters have the ability to fly. And going based off of Amazon's track record, specifically The Boys, right? Because The Boys is their #1 live action kind of like super being show. And for The Boys, if you really pay attention, their flying scenes are not that good. They're really not, bro. So if they're going to do a live action of Invincible before they put out a finished product, they really need to figure out how to improve their flying scenes. And then I think they'll be good to go. If they really want to reference some of the best flying scenes, I think they should take some notes out of the book of the film Eternals. The flying scenes with Icarus in there are really good. And if they can get their flying down like that, oh man, the Invincible live action would be crazy. But that's it, guys. That's all I got for you, man. I just wanted to talk about it because we got the Invincible animated series about to come out with their part 2 of season 2. And it looks like we may get introduced to the Invincible War. So that's really exciting. And it is a step into the multiverse for Invincible. And I really wanted to compare Invincible's multiverse with DC and Marvel. So, all right. If you guys like this video, hit like. If you want to see more content like this, hit subscribe. And you guys comment below and let me know what you think. Out of Marvel, DC, and Invincible, who do you guys think has the best multiverse stories? Who do you guys think has the most simplistic but really creative way of using the multiverse? I would love to hear your guys' feedback on that. All right, I'll let you guys go, and I hope you have a good one. Bye.